right, welcome everybody. We are in Seville, Ohio at ToVee Modular Manufacturing, but they do much more than just modular manufacturing. They do panelization, and they're site builders, and they're developers, and they're working all over the place. I'm super excited to have everybody with us. So sitting next to me, I have Russ Willis, who is the Director of Plant Operations here at ToVee. And next to him, we have Todd ToVee that is with us, and we are going to discuss everything that you have put into this plant and what's happening in the field with your project. So super excited to get into it. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So we're gonna have a couple different angles out here with the camera, and we can show a little bit of that. But just so everybody knows, tomorrow we're gonna do some live, probably some live walkthroughs, definitely some recorded walkthroughs. We're gonna be on location here. We're gonna show you what's happening inside of the plant. And then we are also going to be in the field watching a set take place. So super excited about it. Russ, why don't we start with you since you're closest to me here. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here at the manufacturing plant.
My name is Russ Wills. I am the Director of Plant Operations. So anything that happens, anything that comes in or out of the facility, I have my hands on from starting pre-con, helping with design, and then everything that comes in, materials, raw materials, manufacturing, shipping, logistics, and site coordination.
I love it. And how about yourself, Tom?
And we can't do this without Russ.
Thank you.
So
It's super important. That's right.
He's the main man. So Todd Tober, I'm the president of all the Tober companies, which are, we are a general contractor, a commercial general contractor. That's how we started. And that was in 2013. We became a developer of affordable housing in 2016. We're on our fourth LIHTC is low-income housing tax credit project. And from those two sort of synergies, we said, well, we need to find a more efficient way to deliver construction product and more specifically affordable housing. And so from that sort of spawned this idea of modular. Russ came on board about 5 years ago, and together we've been working to develop the prototypes of what our modular projects and our panelization initiative, and really just trying to pull all these ideas together and make them into a reality. There's a lot of ideas out there, but it's really difficult to find the ideas to begin with, and then people that can sort of make those ideas reality. So that's what we're working together to do.
Yeah, I mean, let's hold the brakes on this. So make it a reality and augmented reality. So let's really dive into what you guys are doing here. So you're not just doing modular, you're just not doing panelized. You are bringing in some of the latest technology to be able to visualize your products, not only for yourself, but for when your clients come in the door to see exactly virtually in real time, everything from MEPs, mechanicals, even the toilets with the systems you're putting in place. So we're going to hop into all that to include they're building single family homes within 6 weeks. Did I say that right?
You did.
That is correct.
From scraping dirt to C of O, moving in 6 weeks. So you don't want to miss that as well. So we are out here thanks to our good friends and sponsor, Howick Ltd. So big shout out to Howick. You guys have a bunch of Howick equipment here as well. That's what you're using. 2 of their machines currently, and we'll get into that, but you have 3 more coming because business is good, and that's what we like to talk about. Let's first talk about some of the projects that you like to do. What is the sweet spot here in the factory, Russ?
The best is mid-rise, anything from 4 to 5 stories up to 9. We get into high-rise as well, but anything where wood doesn't pencil and concrete becomes too expensive. So in that mid-rise up to high-rise, that's really where we're most effective.
And how many stories did you say you can go?
As high as you want.
As high as you want.
Yep.
Based on the system and how you're using it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
And the difference with all this is with the light gauge steel framing versus traditional steel or traditional concrete, you have come up with a system that allows you to do that mid-rise building with the light gauge steel.
Yes, with a full floor system as well. Our modular systems, right now we have engineering that proves 22 stories. Light gauge steel as high as you want to go.
22 stories. How does that pencil out for you when you're looking at your projects?
It gives me a little heartburn to go that high, but it's something we're going towards. But as far as penciling projects, I mean, we're hearing pretty astronomical cost right now. In this, in the past 16 months, the economy has really driven material costs and labor costs up to a point where most market rate or even affordable housing projects don't pencil. So thank goodness we started this 5 years ago, because we are now poised and in a position to deliver those projects for 10 to 15% less cost.
Wow.
And that's just hard costs. And then we save more cost on the soft side, which is, the interest carry that you might have on your pro forma for your development. You might
Yep.
recognize revenue faster because we're delivering product faster, and you can lease up apartments faster. And if you're in a tax credit project, it's what's called upward adjuster. So we deliver product faster. Tax credit investors can exercise their tax credits more quickly. So
Right.
all of that is value to these projects that are, 1 year ago, they were sort of on the borderline of being feasible or not. And
Right.
right now, we're hearing every day another project that's dried up and it's being tabled because of cost. And so that's where ToVee and Atlas and Tober Building and Tober Development come in. We're trying to help clients bring that project back to a reality.
Sure. And what I think is great about this is, Todd, you're not only involved in the manufacturing side of it, but you're also using your own product, and you're out there on the development side as well. And I think, that there's a lot to be said for somebody that's eating their own pudding, right?
There is, and really is it's mission driven. So we want to fulfill a need for affordable housing. But as far as modular and development, we've taken hundreds of developers through this factory on tours, and they all say, "Oh, this is an amazing idea. Come back to us when you've got a couple built." And so that's what we did. We went out and self-developed some projects and proved the concept. We have proof of concept, and we went through pricing exercises and set to deliver on new projects next spring modularly. In the meantime, we're delivering panelized projects.
Right. And I love the flexibility there, right? Because when we were talking about the modular projects, their start and finish times cannot be accurate a lot of times, which can leave holes in production lines and everything else. And you guys said, well, but we're also a panelization shop, and you've actually taken that panelization shop and really turned it into a full panel.
Right.
Yep.
Talk to that.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a lot of structural steel as well with the panels and with the integration of everything. So everything can be done at once in one place. But with the panel shop itself, having the Howick machines and having the capabilities with our own designers, our own detailers, it's from beginning to end, our product, our systems, and we're able to recreate, reinvent things that typically would be hard to do. But with the machinery, with the know-how and the creativity have, we can go through and do that.
Yeah, and it's really proven out to be a really good way to kind of plug the systems and the lines and really keep that manufacturing process rocking and rolling. Wait until you all see this. I mean, the entire floor down there is completely full of panels. Like you said, you're almost breaking at the seams at the moment with so much stuff running through there. How do you see the future of all of this playing out as far as production line capacity? Because you got modular projects, now you got panelized projects. It sounds to me like we're going to have to add another 300,000 square foot soon.
We would love that. Building a new building means success, and everybody has their own definition of success. But we're always looking at how do we make this work? And so initially it was we're going to develop our own deals for our building company. Then we're going to do modular to service both the development company and the building company. In the meantime, it's very difficult to keep a factory open when you're stop on your projects, because this is a project-based business, right? So then we went and said, okay, we're going to deliver a more flexible product, which is panels and floor trusses between modular projects. And where do I see it going is I wish I had a magic ball, a crystal ball. But I think being flexible is the most important thing in this industry right now. When you're in a startup, you need to be flexible and nimble enough to say, A, we're going to stay focused on an idea, but B, be flexible enough where we can change course if we need to. So whether that's modular or taking guys out of the factory and put them in our general contracting projects to keep them employed so that they come back when we have work is important.
Right.
So being flexible is important, and then managing growth responsibly is important.
Sure.
And then really trying to figure out where the market's going. So right now it's, there's this gigantic need for housing, but no one seems to have figured it out. But we are actually very flexible. Russ just described that we can go up to 22 stories. But as a developer, we just finished 37 single family homes. And as you said, we started at 8 or 9 weeks per house. These are 1,500 square foot houses. And now we've got the system and processes down to where we scrape topsoil, turn over keys, and punch list is done in 6 weeks, which is, to me, is insane. We never even set out to do single family homes, but here we are. Now, because of this, there's this big demand for that product.
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
From scraping dirt.
It's amazing.
All right, who's doing it in 6 weeks out there? That's what I want to know. I think it absolutely is amazing, and you don't hear that very often. But we are also talking offline. You spend a lot of time up front working with the local municipalities in the departments to make sure that you don't have any hiccups once you're ready to rock and roll, and that's been a big part of your success. Yes.
Yeah, 6 weeks is awesome, but it's not us. It's really the team that we put together.
Yeah.
And it's this plant. It's our pre-construction team. It's our project managers, superintendents, all of our subcontractors and material. I mean, it was not without hiccups to begin with.
Right.
But here we go. And then as far as modular, developers come and say, what's the process? And really the first step that anybody needs to take is to have these meetings with local building officials and fire marshals and anybody that has a say in the success of your project. Bring them in early and have them buy into the idea first, show them your process, and get away from this concept that prefab or modular is this low quality product. And so when they see what we build, they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And
Right.
But if you try and force this onto someone without asking what they think, you're going to get more pushback than not, I think. So that's been part of our success.
Yeah, but also part of the success is you have mock-ups in here. There are mock-ups of the buildings for some of the projects you're doing. You have a whole mock-up, which is, by the way, they're going to bring it to IBS. So I have this beautiful 3-stage tier thing. We're going to have all kinds of people. We'll have Tom Reed over there dancing and everything else. It'll be fun. Yeah. But you're doing the mock-ups. You're showing people what the capabilities are. Yep. Russ, how important has that been? Because you're in charge of that. When people walk in here and they see these projects, how important is that to be able to show them visually the capabilities of what you can produce?
Yeah, it's extremely important to be able to show them. Most people don't see or understand a lot of the concepts that we can do. Yeah. So to be able to physically build it and let them put hands on it and see some of the details and understand some of the work that goes into it, they can more informatively decide on how they want to build the building or how they want certain components to work because they're able to see it, touch it, feel it. It's not just something that's on paper, that's 2D, or you're looking at a screen.
Yeah.
So and it takes design to another level. So it's even part of the sales process where we've said, here's our concept, here's a proposal, and they say, oh, this is a good price. So I like the concept. We take it to the next level and build this gigantic mock-up that says, here's our systems, here's our details, here's our connections. Right. And it's not just the product, but it's the push and the initiative that we've taken to show the customer that we care that much to build this much and spend this much money without the promise of any project. Really, it's just, here's what we can do.
That's right.
And it's actually been a successful sales tool.
Yeah, super successful. So, all right, now you have the mock-ups, but let's take it a step further. Now you have augmented reality. Folks, I just literally walked through a building and was able to see where the HVAC guy messed it up. I say that jokingly, but you can see where the HVAC, where the plumbing is. And what's really cool is the way the Howick machine prints out. It prints out all the access points for the mechanicals. And not only can you see those access points, it shows exactly the exact size of the plumbing or the mechanicals running through those pre-cut spots within the truss or floor system. Yes?
Yes, that is correct. There's a lot of different ways we could use that. We can leverage the AR as a sales tool or, as a building to work into BIM so that everybody can see how is clash detection and all that. But also in the manufacturing environment on the floor, we can use it so that guys can see where it's supposed to go. They're not rifling through hundreds of papers. Yeah. Also as a quality control check that everything's in its place. And then down the road as built and as, building maintenance and keeping current logs.
Sure.
But for those people that don't know what augmented reality is, this is like this totally awesome thing where, we have this Howick machine that takes our BIM model, which is building information modeling for those that don't know. We take a 3D design. That design gets converted to a CNC file that goes into our machines and prints it. I say print, but it rolls coil into our metal stud members. Okay, so this is this awesome thing. We've proved this labor savings, and it's been rah-rah, right? So what's next? Well, let's just figure out a way to, in the factory, have drawings, make drawings or make the design easy for less skilled labor employees to install product. And so we're out there searching and say, well, it's better than 100 sheets of drawings that people are, sifting through trying to figure out which module is which. We found a way to put on, just picture Iron Man, the Avengers, right? He puts on his helmet and he sees holograms of anything he wants to see. So that's what this is. You put on a helmet with this clear shield and our BIM model loads into this, the augmented reality helmet that we got from Twin Build is the software platform, and Microsoft HoloLens is the hardware. But it takes our design, puts it into the helmet, and the workers can look at the framing, see the framing's finished, push a layer, and then here appears a hologram of where the electric wire goes through the holes. Where do the boxes go on the wall? Where does the light fixture go? At any stage of rough install or finishes, they can push the layer and just snap together the pieces parts rather than look for drawings on where it goes. It's just that level of trying to to deliver value to the projects, which is important because a lot of our workforce don't understand how to read drawings. And so it eliminates errors, eliminates mistakes. It helps on pre-construction. We can take customers through buildings with this helmet and they're like, oh my gosh, this is wild. And we've had that several times. So it's exciting and it's a way to push this even further than just having a factory and these awesome Helic machines.
Well, and you know what, so there's even more than that, right? Because you get the next generation that wants to play with this stuff and use what they've grown up learning to use, way before we got into it with Fortnite and all these other things that they play. But I also think the ability to virtually see even what's not built yet, tied into the structure that's built, and you got all these QR codes. And by the way, we're going to set all this up for everybody out there to see when we do some video filming tomorrow, and hopefully we can capture that and bring it to everybody and show you. But this is the real deal, and when you see it and you implement it within your manufacturing facility, it's an aha moment where you go, now I get it. Like you really get it visually. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see it right on screen or in the HoloLens itself.
Yeah. So let's talk about, we got some stuff flashing on the screen behind us here as well. Top-down construction, or top-up, is it top-up or top-down or down-up construction? What is the word for it? Well, they build everything on the first floor and then they lift it up to well, there is no first floor. It's the top floor built on the first floor, lifted to the top floor.
This is a wild concept. I'll let Russ describe. It's top-down construction.
That's right.
Yep. So it is a building we are partnering with and working with up in Detroit, Michigan. And they are building the 16th floor down to the first floor. The way they do it, they build it ground level, everything that you need to do, raise it up to the second level, do all the undergrounds underneath or the under level, all the plumbing, everything, hook it up to their giant cables, run it all the way up to the 16th floor. While guys then on the 16th floor doing interior finishes, you've got the 15th level being built on the floor and then working right up. So in sequence, once they finish all interior build out and everything on the 16th level, nobody has to touch it again. You're not carrying materials through. You're not wasting time and effort to get materials up there. Yeah. Everything's preloaded on the deck and ran up. It's a very cool concept, and it's very cool to be a part of it.
It is a cool concept, and it's been around for a while. I'm surprised, it's just really starting to get more recognition, I guess, in the industry because of the efficiencies of being able to build, the safety factor of being able to put everything together on the first floor, and it's all built around the shafts, right? Because the elevator shafts or the fireproof stairwells, whatever it is, that's kind of the guides that help it go up the wall to the top floor and lock in.
Yep, that's exactly it. It acts as like a structural spine for everything to come up and ride against.
Right. And just like modular and panelized and everything else, I would imagine using the light gauge steel structures for building gives you the accuracy you need, because when you lift something that far up off the ground, you can't have tolerances out of place.
Oh yeah, it has to be perfect. Right?
Absolutely. That's when you have a bad day, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's when the bad day happens.
Pretty bad day.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So walk me through like where you guys, see the industry going, with light gauge steel in the market. And then we're going to get into some comments and questions here, because you also build with wood. In the past you have.
Yes. And so my experience with wood is wood is wood. It shrinks, it warps, it twists. It's fine. And it's a lower cost than steel.
Right.
And so that serves a purpose in the market. It does. We are just trying to do something different relative to our design, which is the BIM modeling. And because we have these Helic machines, we can take the BIM model and produce metal studs that are perfect. They're perfect. And so we can either sell those studs to third-party interiors contractors, or whoever, like this one in Detroit, the lift build. They're just buying knockdown bundles of studs that helps them increase their labor production rates. So we're like 3 or 4 times faster on our labor install than with normal studs. So that's one. We are trying to get into a place in the market where, like Russ said, we're the replacement for concrete. Cement is there's cement shortages right now.
Okay.
It's very expensive because the cost overall of construction. A lot of these 6, 7, 8, 9-story buildings are not feasible anymore unless you charge like $4 a square foot for rent. And who's going to spend $3,200 a month in Akron, Ohio on an 800 square foot apartment? They're not. So you either raise rents, or you lower the interest rates on the deals, or you come down with construction costs, which is where we step in and say, because of light gauge steel in our systems and modular, we can reduce that cost to a point where you don't have to put all that, you don't have to pass all that cost on to the end users, which is the renters.
Right.
So that's, I think, where the market's going relative to what we provide, is finding solutions that make construction more efficient and hopefully save cost as a result.
Sure. And what about the vision for ToVee moving forward? What do you see? Where are you headed with it?
Yeah, I think we're really trying to find a niche. There's a lot of manufacturers of modular that do, some do trailers, some do houses, some do townhomes or duplexes, there's just a whole spectrum of manufacturers that specialize in different areas. So I think what we are trying to do at ToVee is focus on, the 5 to 9 story, I don't know if you call that a high rise or a mid rise, but that level of building size out of steel. That's what we're trying to do is focus on that market. That'll be multifamily. There are other modular manufacturers that do bathroom pods. We would look at that, but I think we're still a startup. In our 4th year, it's still sort of a startup. So it's either the multifamily or maybe focusing on something like
startup. You got more product out there than I've seen in a lot of factories that have been around.
That feels like a startup. It's been a long journey, but it's still a startup in my mind.
Startup. That's funny.
One of the comments I made on LinkedIn yesterday was, you're never satisfied with the progress.
Yeah.
Like you should always be striving for better and, what's next and all this, but you should always be satisfied that you're making progress. So that means if you incrementally get better at least 1% a day, you're on a positive trajectory and time is your ally. You should always be happy that you're making progress, but never be satisfied with we're done, because as soon as you do that, someone else is doing what we're doing. It's going to go right past you at some point.
That's right.
Right. So I don't know where we're going to go, but every day we're trying to get a little bit better.
I love it. We got a question out there from Banu Dadlani. How does the cost compare to cross-laminated timber? And if I messed up your name, I do apologize. I think I got it right.
I don't know what the cost is of CLT.
Yeah.
I would say versus apples to apples construction, we're 10 to 15% less on hard cost.
Yeah. I would say from a CLT perspective, you're going to come in, from what I've seen happening out there, less, but I am not the expert on that. I could be wrong. But if you're incorporating CLT as part of the structural versus steel, and then still framing your walls, using wood or using a light gauge steel between the CLT posts and columns, I guess that's really where the study would have to be to see if it makes any sense.
Yeah, they just built a giant one in Cleveland. I think it was a 10 or 11 story CLT mass timber frame. I know it's super expensive, but honestly, I don't know what the cost is. So sorry, I can't answer that question.
We got Tom Reddy, of course, out there. Your ears ringing, Tom. When there is interest in moving to wall panels, when is the best time to engage ToVee, to get the best ROI? So I guess what he's saying is if there's a site builder out there that's interested in making a switch to using panels versus traditional sticks, on-site construction, when's the best time to engage?
Yeah, last week. No, I'm kidding. It's
the week before.
Yeah, the week before you just found it. It's the challenge is this: once on a design bid build project, the architect is fully baked on their design, the structural engineering is finished, and they go out for a bid from a general contractor, whomever, and the costs come in, and everybody's like, "What just happened? This is way too expensive." Right. And so then sometimes they come to us and say, do you have a solution for this project? We can say, yes, we'll price it as panelized, but it will take X amount of months to redesign, just cost and redesign and engineering. But maybe we'll save you costs. We'll see. The best time is when the project is in the conceptual stage, when we're doing schematic drawings and an architect developer saying, which path should we go? That's the best time, because then we can engage our in-house modelers, our designers, in our pre-construction team, and Russ's input on here's the best system for your particular project. So the sooner the better is the big answer.
Right.
But really before design documents, before it's 50% completed, I guess. Before the structural engineer is engaged is the best time, because then we can help guide the structural engineer on their actual design.
But this is the whole mindset shift that we have to have in the industry, that we're not going into this with change orders in mind. We're going into this saying, we're going to do all the planning up front. We're going to put the time and the effort up front, because it's a lot less money to redesign it on a digital twin or on paper, even if you're still using that, than it is to go out in the field and have to fix everything and have Russ yell at you. Right?
Yep. No, that's absolutely right. And a lot of people get afraid of that 3-month or 16-week lead time to redo drawings and redo engineering, but you're going to pick that up on the end of your project, and you're probably going to be under budget too. So,
and I'm a developer too, so I have these conversations with other developers, and they always talk about who's the least cost architect. And so as a general contractor, that frustrates me, because when you sacrifice and cut corners on your design and your planning, it goes and falls on the general contractor and their subcontractors, and then it just becomes this mess of coordination on the back end. So the more time and energy and cost that can be put into planning, the better. It's what's the old saying? It's like an hour of planning saves 10 hours of headaches. full of these analogies, but it's true. I mean, you spend
That's
an
right.
extra hour of planning, you're really going to save that on the back end. And what's really difficult to do is convince developers that that's worth anything.
Well, and that's it.
That's what
So
we're trying to do.
So let's talk about that a little bit, Todd, right? Because, what was your journey like going from traditional site building to offsite construction? And, what would you say your biggest lessons learned in this process have been?
Well, we didn't know what we didn't know.
Yeah.
So we had an idea and said, this would be awesome. Let's do modular instead of stick built because we can save X, Y, Z. And, things that look good on paper aren't necessarily what happens on paper or in reality. So we had a journey and a learning curve. And I think what we've learned, people can come to us and say, what did you learn? We can go to those entities and say, avoid this on design, avoid this on your execution, whatever it is. We have that knowledge now that we didn't have once. So we can use our experience, and new developers wouldn't have to pay for that necessarily because we've already been through it. You can pass that value to their project.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly it. You don't know what you don't know. And is it a lesson learned? Do you get it right on the first time?
I haven't.
Well, I think that's the big thing. A lot of people try something new and they're like, oh, well, I was over by 10% or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But is it one of those things where you've learned that once you've understood the process, not only from the manufacturing standpoint or I should say the design standpoint, the manufacturing standpoint, but then there's the execution of how it all comes together in the field, and that's where the time starts really coming back to.
There is, and you have less lessons learned the more times you do something.
Right.
One of the things that a mentor told me when we started was, there's no way you're going to make money on your first project. I'm like, oh, get out of here. We're going to make all kinds of money and save this and that. And he was right. And but we didn't lose money. We actually picked up an investment in knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And so that the lessons learned are actually an investment into this business.
Right.
And so we're going to keep doing this going forward. And the more that we do that, more times we'll learn. And because we're continually improving our processes, the more efficient the entire soup to nuts process will be.
That's right. And you learn stuff and you get better and you tweak things and get better.
It's a virtuous cycle of improvement. That's what one of my consultants said once.
The virtuous cycle of improvements. I'm not even trying to type that in there real quick. I was going to say, I'll do a banner on that next time after I meet with Webster Dictionary.
That's from Scott Hedges with Big House said that. I got to give him credit.
Scott Hedges, Big House. Cool. All right. So let's talk about design, right? Architects, engineers. How are you working with those designers that are out there? Do you have designers and architects or engineers or whomever, draftsmen, that understand the process? Or has that been a learning curve for them as well as you walk through your process with them?
You can say that.
Yeah, everything's been a learning curve throughout it because you're taking on so much more of the pie, a bigger piece, a bigger slice. We still have third party and outside architects and engineers that we work with, but our detailers and draftsmen, they can take a concept, design it, model it, draw it, and run it through execution.
Okay.
But all of the codes and things like that, we still have to fall back to an architect and to a structural engineer to finalize everything.
And so again, the more times you do something, the better you are. So we have architects that have worked with us on a couple projects now, and they know the process better than someone who's going to start next week on a new project. That said, we approach the business as a general contractor, and every GC starts a new project. It's a snowflake because every new project is different, right? So we're approaching this whole thing as, yeah, sure, bring your architect in. We want to work with everybody. We're pretty flexible and pretty nice guys, right? Most of the time.
They're fairly nice.
But there is a learning curve. So if it's a new architect and they haven't done this before, we're happy to help them. But there's going to be some stumbly bumbly along the way, which is to be expected, and we plan for that.
I wonder if anybody's ever built a project with an architect and didn't have any stumbly bumblies along the way. Yeah, I'm just saying.
I need to hire that architect.
Yeah, we all would for sure. Hey, look at that. Greg Ugaldi is joining us today. Greetings, meeting here in KC and great. Yeah, so this is the board of directors, right? The meetings in Kansas. I know I'm supposed to be there, but ended up here at ToVee. So Greg Ugaldi is the past chair of the National Association of Home Builders, the guy that actually updates the president and secretary of housing a couple times a year. So it's always great when Greg joins us. Yep, and he's on October 31st with Dr. Dietz, the head economist of the NAHB's coming on. He's the same guy you see on the news channels, ABC, Fox, whatever your pleasure is. He's on them, and he's talking about housing. He is the top dog for all of that. So good to see you, Greg. Thank you for saying hello. I know you're busy out there. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. So, Jennifer put in the chat here, she wanted to know, what are some of the myths that are out there or that you have heard of that just don't exist? What are people afraid of when it comes to moving into offsite construction?
You want to talk about that one?
Myths, I'm not quite sure, other than people think it's an inferior product because they don't understand it, they don't get it. The biggest challenge I see, or the biggest thing that most people don't get, is it's that comfort level. Once you get outside of your comfort level, you're able to grow, you're able to learn, you're able to do better, so to speak. So if people aren't comfortable understanding what offsite is or how they can leverage that to help their job site, whether it's schedule, whether it's labor, whether it's finance, they're never going to do it. They're going to fall back to, this is what my father did, this is what my grandfather did, the times of old. And that works until it doesn't. And we're getting to that point right now with labor forces being where they're at. You've got 5 people from the trades retired to every one that's getting in. It's just a massive labor shortage, and being able to use offsite and be able to use different things that can be prefabricated will greatly impact.
And augmented technology, right? Augmented reality technology. I mean, do you use that as a recruiting tool when you're talking to people and wanting to bring them in to show that you guys are moving forward with tech and it's not your traditional way of building? And guess what? It's raining outside, but we're building inside. Everybody loves it when it's 70 and sunny on the inside.
Yeah, we sell that to our factory workers for sure.
Yeah.
We also sell it to our in-house team. So when I've got industry leaders that come in and they're like, oh my gosh, what is this? I've been sitting at my desk doing interiors takeoffs for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
It sparks our interest because we're starting something new in an industry that does not want to change. Like construction is just this, I love it because I love to build, but it's like this dinosaur place that never wants to change. I just told you earlier that when I was a carpenter, there was like this big kerfuffle around carpenters that had to change from water levels to lasers. I was like, a normal thing. It's just the improvement of technology. And they're still stuck in their old ways. This is what they know. Getting outside your comfort zone is difficult. You don't understand it until you do. And once you understand it, then you accept it. So what we're trying to do here with this whole business model, and like what you're saying nationally, is getting an industry that's either developers or construction to understand something new in a better, more efficient way to deliver product.
Yeah.
To do that, you're going to take a lot of hits along the way. It's very expensive. We're learning our own lessons. And
I wonder if Elon Musk had any hiccups with SpaceX when he was trying to figure all that.
Pretty perfect.
But I mean, that's kind of part of it, right? We got to push new grounds. We can't be doing it the way we've been doing. How's that working out for us? It's not. And young people aren't interested in what we do anymore. And that's a big problem for our industry if we don't find how we can do more with less. And that's part of the augmented reality and some of these other things. So the workforce and your team members can visually see it if they don't have the skills to understand it on paper or otherwise.
Or do the same with less. We're just trying to maintain the same level of production with less people. Because that's the reality, is we're losing people in the industry. You just at least want to try and maintain the existing. If you had the same people and you had increased technology, you would do more with the same. We're trying to do the same with less people. You understand that? So with this technology and AR and better processes, you're doing more of the less people that are retiring out of the trades, right? Or they're just less skilled. There might be bodies that come in, which is fine, but sometimes we're teaching people how to cut drywall. I mean, that's a real lost skill.
It is.
And you're losing not the old guys, but just people that would generally teach apprentices, and that whole system. It exists in the union to some degree, but there seems to be like this loss of just detail type things like cutting drywall.
Right. Yeah. For sure. Right. If the young kids aren't coming in, who's carrying on the learning and the tradition, right? And trade schools are becoming more and more less existence. I guess they're not out there. So, but that's where this system comes in, because this is not only a place to bring new people in that maybe don't understand it, but you start training and retraining a workforce and giving people opportunity. And as this industry grows, you're giving people the opportunity to grow with it. Like I said, I mean, you guys got a couple 100,000 square feet maybe being added on here, I hope, in the next couple of years. That's opportunity, right? You can't handle all that yourself. You need some help.
We need to grow from within and find more people that are in the industry that are interested in this change.
Yeah.
We are interested in uplifting lives. So our factory workers make good wages and benefits and retirement, which is not really common in the industry, I don't think. Right. And we're trying to uplift the industry. We're trying to uplift our clients. We're trying to build awesome buildings and then provide good jobs for everybody. And just, there's money to be made out there. We all have to feed our families, right? But you just sort of have to spread it out and let everybody succeed, not just one segment. Like the owner's making tons of money. I don't know if that exists or not. I don't make a lot of money.
Right.
But you take the value that you give to the projects and pass it down to everybody. And that way we all rise together.
And that's it.
It's the tide comes in and all ships rise, right?
All ships rise together.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the idea.
Well, I love it. And you got to reinvest back in your people too.
That's right.
You know, especially when you're in your startup phase, as you call it. So Tom, let me get back in here and see. We had Tom Reddy also said, awesome company. These guys are the real deal. They are successful at changing the building industry. This is what all builders need to see. And I agree. I was not expecting what I saw when I walked in here, right? I've been to all kinds of panelization packs, but when you started showing me there's QR codes all over the floor and augmented reality, and then we come to the next level and I start seeing these mock-up buildings so people can truly understand the value, the accuracy, and the precision. Because guess what? That all translates back to less waste in a dumpster on site. And that's what's valuable about these Howick machines as well. And this is our regular show. So this ain't even a sponsored show by Howick, but Howick's been on our show a lot lately, it seems like. And I think that the side of this that's so important is these machines are printing things to the exact length, width, dimensions, cutouts. And that's a big value. And I don't know if anybody's really quantified how much that saves on site when it comes to how many dumpsters are on a traditional job site. We know it's 30% or roughly around there, right?
Yeah, it's a big number. My first affordable housing project was wood. It's wood panels. And there was at least 6 dumpsters full of wood cutoffs and panel cutoffs. One of them caught fire. It's just sickening because that's just, not only is it money that goes out the window in the dumpster, but it's just material that it's just a waste of material. So with the steel, we have less than 2% waste. It's just basically the punch outs that are in our coil for the service holes for plumbing and electric.
That's right.
That's it. And we recycle that. We throw it in the recycle dumpster and get a check every month for the recycled steel, which goes in the next building.
Yep.
I guess that would be zero waste, right?
Recycling, and it would be zero waste. It would be zero waste. All right, let's get to a couple more. We got Dan Mitchell says, miss you here, Dave. They're all like, these are all the bigwigs are at the meetings and, in Kansas doing this from the NAHB. I guess they took a break for the show. Yeah. Dan Mitchell has the best handshake in the industry. You got significant kudos for your performance in MC at the Housing Summit in Atlanta. I was the master of ceremonies for an event recently. So I appreciate that, Dan. Does that mean I'm coming back? Voluntold? I love it. I have so much fun with you. And yeah, one last follow-up. Are they members of the Building Systems Council? Well, it's funny you said that, Dan. These guys will vouch. We were sitting here talking offline how important it is for our offsite construction industry to get more involved with the National Association of Home Builders for the political reasons, for what you guys do in the industry. And they'll tell you flat out, I was just talking about, working with everybody out there. So I think what you guys are doing an amazing job out there as well. And I think, it's fun that they tune in and see what we're doing in our industry.
Right.
It's really fun to know that these guys are sitting, when they're with all the other big wigs out there, and they took a few moments. So we appreciate it, Greg and Dan. Thank you so much. We're about at the end of the show here. What have we not talked about? And we're going to do some more stuff tomorrow, but what have we not talked about that you really wish people would know, not only about maybe working here, but also, about ToVee in general? Like, why should they come here to you to work with ToVee? Maybe that's the best question. Value add.
Yeah, I have an easy one. The culture that we have here is very good.
Culture.
All of our people truly care. They take pride in what they do. We all help each other out. We've had guys in early, 3 a.m, running row formers to make sure that the framers had enough to do that day. Yep. We've had guys stay late to make sure trucks get done, and they do it on their own accord. I don't have to tell anybody. I don't have to push anything. We all do it together, and we all work really hard together. We have, exceptional people that truly care about the work they do. And when they care about their work, the quality stands behind it.
Yeah.
So
culture.
Yes.
They're all tired of hearing me say that. And he's absolutely right. The best run companies in the world have a culture like no other. When the employees feel like they fit in somewhere, they believe in the culture that you're doing, and they have advancement opportunities, you're going to see a whole different workforce working with you, especially if they're pulling in the same direction as a team.
Yep, that's right.
So
100%. It's all about the people.
Yeah. Well, this has been great, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for
So we'll probably see both of them at some point tomorrow, at least some behind the scenes look. We do have our film guy coming out tomorrow, so we're going to catch some great stuff. What are we going to see tomorrow on location? We are going to a job site. Why don't you tell us what we're going to see?
Yeah, we're going to one of our job sites in downtown Cleveland. It is a 6-story, 5 stories worth of apartments, 200 apartments. We should be seeing, as long as the weather cooperates, we'll be seeing panels flying, we'll be seeing trusses flying, decking going in, everything that happens on the day-to-day with all the products that we provide.
Love it. Love it. All right. I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors for our regular Wednesday show, and Howick is one of them today. So you want to check out Howick if you are not familiar with them. They have an awesome machines buyer's guide for offsite construction. So go to their website, howickltd.com, and check them out. And also Forward Solutions Group. You want to reach out to Ben Hershey from Forward Solutions Group. It's Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. They are helping others succeed where others have failed. They have been in the industry a long, long time. Most people don't know it, but they're pushing upward of 900 people, 900 employees around the world to help you build it better. And you need to check out their new software, ERP solution, ModuCore, that they acquired. They're doing great stuff as well. We're all about people advancing the industry forward on this show. And I think what's so great about that, and I always say it, sponsors or no sponsor, our show is unedited and uninfluenced by where we go and what we do. If you're doing something better, you're going to be on the show, and I don't care who's behind it. And you guys are doing that. You're pretty wicked smart too.
Thank you.
I may walk out with some of these augmented reality glasses. So, all right, everybody, listen, thank you so much for tuning in today. We will see you tomorrow, and we'll see you on Friday with BS Friday, Mark Bare Naked Willie. So thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Say goodbye, guys.
Later, guys.
See ya.